Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to do a redo a video that I did before. I previously did this video, which was of course the Indiana Jones movie series, the original DVD box set that came out in 2003. I did it before and I wasn't satisfied that I got only 5 views for the set, for that video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this movie, and I have the time right now to do all 3 films in one shot like I did before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do them one at a time. Of course, starting with the original movie, which has been retitled for the box set, but not for the movie, not the movie itself. They didn't digitally change the title in the movie. They did for the DVD box set, and of course it's the original Raiders of the Lost Ark. It came out in 1981. And of course, as you can see, they put the name Indiana Jones on the title Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. They renamed it from the DVD set, which I think it's all levels of wrong to do it. This movie, I did see all 4 of the Indiana Jones movies, but I'm mainly going to be talking, at least for the next couple of videos, just the main 3. And of course, this one is, of course, certainly the best one of the whole series. Of course, the one that kicks off a series, usually the best one on them all. Of course, it stars Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, and originally Harrison Ford was not originally supposed to be playing Indiana Jones. It was originally supposed to be Tom Selleck. And of course, on this original box set that I have on the bonus disc, it does have, you know, a film which is like over an hour and a half, approximately about an hour and a half long. But a film from behind the scenes uh, of the series. Excuse me for 1 second. Okay, which of course goes over the entire movie series, and it does show a screen test with Tom Selleck during the boss scene uh, with Karen Allen, who of course played Marion Ravenwood, and he was actually supposed to. He actually got hired to play Indiana Jones, but Les Moonves, who's the head of CBS, had to say Tom Selleck, we have to pull Tom Selleck out of it because we just hired him to do a TV show called Magnum PI, so he has to be Spielberg to pull him out, which of course it happened. And Spielberg asked George Lucas, "Hey, how about we have Harrison Ford?" At first, George Lucas did not want to have Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones because he already been in 3 movies that George Lucas did. The first 2 Star Wars films, and the first film that George Lucas directed, which was American Graffiti. So they originally didn't want Harrison Ford in the part. But Spielberg wanted him, and eventually because of dumb luck, with Tom Selleck, Harrison Ford got the part, and of course the rest is history. And Harrison Ford is absolutely perfect as this character. And now, of course, the rest of his life, his typecast is really 2 parts: Han Solo and Indiana Jones. And at one point, as of 1990, before movies like Jurassic Park and Titanic and Avatar and Lord of the Rings movies came into the top 10 money makers of all time, Harrison Ford had 6 of the top 10 or starred in 6 of the top 10 highest grossing movies of all time. Of course, the original 3 Indiana Jones films and Star Wars. So when I get into the movie, like I said, this movie came out in 1981, but it takes place in the great almost the DVD. Took place in the great year of 1936. And of course, it starts off with Indiana Jones in the famous scene where he gets a little idol and he gets chased by the boulder and gets caught by another archaeologist named Belloc, played by Paul Freeman. Of course, later on becomes his rival throughout the rest of the film. At first, it does seem like his first scene. but Paul Freeman became the villain throughout the rest of the film because he worked with it was a French archaeologist who worked with the Nazis later on. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So of course, after that opening sequence with Indiana Jones in the flies across this bog, this lake, I guess. He gets into a plane and sees the snakes, and he goes, "I hate snakes, Jock. I hate them." Well, the Army intelligence hires Indiana Jones to go after the Ark of the Covenant, and because Hitler was going after it, and of course Hitler was already in charge of Germany at that time, and he's interested in getting all these occult um, artifacts, so that way his army, his Nazi army, will be the most powerful army in the world to use these artifacts against other armies around the world. And that's why he wanted the Ark of the Covenant for, because he knows that it's a very powerful religious artifact. So they actually need Indiana Jones to go get it. So he goes to Cairo and he meets up with his old friend or fellow friend, Salah, who's a fellow digger. But before then, he meets up with his old flame, Mary Ravenwood, getting played by Karen Allen. So he says, "Look, I know you have a piece that could help me out in finding the Ark of the Covenant. I know they have that piece from your father." I said, "Where's your father?" And I found out that his father had died. Excuse me, I mean Marion's father had died, but she still has all of his pieces that he used to collect. And then eventually she ends up giving it to Indiana Jones, but she wants to be his partner in all this thing. So she follows him to Cairo, or goes with him to Cairo to continue his adventure and gain New York. Well, of course, at the same time, he is in the race with the Nazis to get it, and they use Balak, the archaeologist you saw in the opening sequence, after when Indy gets chased by the boulder and all that stuff, to help the Nazis find New York. And of course, who finds it first? Of course, Indiana Jones. And of course, the most famous scene is, of course, when they open up the Well of the Souls, where the Ark is supposed to be. And of course, the whole room is full with snakes. And of course, Harrison Ford has the classic deadpan line, "Snakes. Why does it have to be snakes?" And of course, John Rhys Davis, who plays Shala, looks down the pit and he goes, "Asps, very dangerous. You go first." So of course, and over the years, John Rhys Davis has been asked by everybody to repeat that line. So anyway, he goes to the pit, gets to York, and of course he gets trapped in there by the Nazis. Of course, I'm not gonna say how he gets trapped by the Nazis in there. In case those of you on this planet who never saw it, Raise the Lost Ark. Then he gets out, and he has a famous sequence by the flying ring. And he has a fight with Pat Roach, who's one of the stuntmen, and it became kind of a joke for the movie, at least the first two films, when he has a fight scene with Pat Roach. He does have a fight scene with him in the second movie, Temple of Doom. And he was supposed to have another fight scene in the third movie, but it didn't happen. I think they filmed it, but they didn't edit that fight scene in there because it was unnecessary, I guess. And of course, you had the famous scene where Indiana Jones is running with the horse, and he gets the famous fight in the truck, and he gets thrown out through the windshield. He starts getting dragged, but goes underneath the truck and gets dragged along by the truck, which was, to me, is like the highlight of the whole movie, that particular chase scene. Then of course, throughout most of the movie, from that point on, when he gets the first finds the Ark, it's a back and forth thing, and who gets the Ark. First Indy has it, then the Nazis have it, and Indy has it again, and then the Nazis have it. I mean, it's almost like a back and forth type game. And it's also the same type of thing that they have in the third movie, which I'll get to when I eventually review the third film. Now, of course, you have the famous scene in the end of the movie where Balak and the Nazis open New York, and they have not video cameras, like movie cameras, the old style 1930s movie reel cameras to film the Ark the opening of the Ark, or what happens when you open the Ark. Of course, what happens is, of course, this the first time, and of course, in those days, you didn't really have CGI to fall back on like you do now. So in those days, all the special effects had to be filled in afterwards. After the actors from that stuff, then we edit in the special effects they want, which of course makes it harder for the act. Well, it's hard for the actors today too because they act nothing, and that's what Cameron Evans said in the documentary. That's on uh, this DVD set. It's the first time in my life that I actually acted to nothing, and of course what happens is, of course, the ghosts of the Ark, the power of the Ark, they kill all the Nazis, they destroy all the equipment from the Nazis there. And the only ones who survived were Marion and Indiana Jones. Now, of course, you know the one snafu in that scene is how in the hell did they get from that little island where they're at to Washington D.C. so fast? I mean, the next thing you see is after the power of the Ark and the lid comes back down and lands on top of the Ark, they Marion and Indiana and Indy look at each other, and the next thing you see, or next thing you see them is in Washington D.C. talking to the Army intelligence guys that you saw early in the film. But other than that, that's the one little snafu. So how the hell to get off that island? That's the only little thing that I could really nitpick over. But other than that, this was a tremendous movie. This movie was absolutely terrific. Uh, I love Vegas and the Lost Ark. As a matter of fact, I like all the Indiana Jones movies, except for the last one that came out, the Crystal Skull. That movie sucked. But, if I had to pick my favorite Indiana Jones movies, of course, Vegas would be number one. Temple of Doom was like two. And I rank them from one to four. The irony is that that's how good the movies are. It goes from Vegas to Temple of Doom to Last Crusade, my third favorite. Of course, the last favorite by a long shot is the Kingdom of Crystal Skull. But the first one is definitely the best one. I also do kind of like the second movie, even though it does get a little annoying, which I'm going to get into it when I do that review, and hopefully we'll do that review next. But in terms of Indiana Jones and the Temple and the Raiders of the Lost Ark, forget Indiana Jones. The hell with this. Let's go with Raiders of the Lost Ark, which is the actual title of the movie, not Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom. Like I said earlier, these movies were retired. Just this movie was really retired when the DVD set came out. Because all the other Indiana Jones movies that came out used the name Indiana Jones, like Indiana Jones and Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. So I figured when the DVDs started coming out, I said, because I'm sure the people will nitpick. How come this movie is not entitled Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark? That's probably why Spielberg and Lucas put the name Indiana Jones in there when the DVDs came out. Originally came out in 2003, and then I think like a couple years later they all came out individually. I think now they have a Blu-ray version with all. I think I might have all four movies in the Blu-ray set. And I don't know. I don't get the Blu-ray sets of any movies because they're way too expensive. But I do enjoy watching the Indiana Jones movies because to me, even though Raiders of the Lost Ark is now 30. I know I'm dating myself. It's like 34 years old now. I was either 9 or 10 years old when I saw this movie, and I thought this movie was absolutely terrific. Even though it may be a tad young to fully understand, it was either 9 or 10 years old when I first saw this movie, and I thought it was terrific because I couldn't understand the plot. Because I explained to you what the plot is within like the first 15-20 minutes of the film, what the plot is. And so it's very easy to understand what the plot is. That Indiana Jones has to get the Ark from the Nazis and all that stuff. But the movie, it is a perfect movie. You're going to see a perfect action movie with practically no flaws, except for the one I mentioned before, with how they all get from the island to Washington D.C. so fast. Other than one flaw, it is a perfect movie, and I suggest anybody who's a great action movie fan and a great, I know that people will turn off this movie because Spielberg directed, and George Lucas, of course, created the story. The reason why is because George Lucas, with the Star Wars prequels, and of course Spielberg hasn't made a decent movie in over 20 years now. So it's a little hard for people to go back to something maybe to review some of his earlier work because they more focus on his most recent stuff. But this is when Spielberg was a great director and Lucas was a great screenwriter for writing this movie. And this was perfect. Perfect movie. I still love this movie to this day. And it's definitely within my top two or three favorite films of all time. So that's my review of Raiders of the Lost Ark. Please click on the video. Please rate it. Feel free to comment on. Please subscribe to my channel. And please forward this video onto your Facebook pages. Also, you can check out all my videos on my not only on my YouTube channel, but also you can go to rallyc.com. That's ROWDY and then C.com. That's the home page. That's the home website of the Value Viewer, the TV Trash Guy. He also has other content on there other than my videos and his stuff. There's other content on his website as well. Suggest you check them all out. That's my thanks for watching. Catch you next time.